Good morning, children. Today in English, we are going to start chapter number 4, Landscape of the Soul, from the book Hornbill, and it is written by Nathalie Troverai. In this chapter, the author compares the Chinese view of art to the European view with examples. Viewing any piece of creative art is actually a landscape of one's soul. The classical Chinese painter do not intend to produce an exact copy of the landscape. They want their viewers to see the spirit behind their work. It is conceptual that is painted, but the European artists try to create a perfect imitation. So now let's have a look at the summary of the chapter through the given points as you can see on the screen. The first point is story of a Chinese painting. There is a wonderful story about a painter Wu Daozi who lived in the 8th century. His last painting was a landscape and the Tang Emperor commissioned it to decorate a palace wall. The emperor admired the scene of forest, waterfall, clouds, etc. and the painter requested the emperor to look in the cave in the painting in which there lived a spirit. The painter clapped and the cave opened. He entered it to show its inside to the emperor, but the door closed behind him. Before the emperor realized what had happened, the painting vanished from the wall and nothing was seen later of the painter. Next point is stories important in Chinese education. Such stories played an important part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius are full of them. They reveal the spirit of the art. There is another story about a painter who did not draw the eye of a dragon that he had painted. But why? Because he thought that it will fly. Next point is European stories. The story about Quinton explains European appreciation of perfect imitation in art. Quinton was a blacksmith who loved a painter's daughter, and the painter was reluctant to accept a blacksmith as his son-in-law. It means that he did not want to marry his daughter to Quinton. One day, Quinton stole into the artist's studio and painted a fly on his latest painting board. It was such a perfect imitation that the artist took it to the real. He agreed to give away his daughter to Quinton, who later became a great artist. Next point is comparison between Chinese and European paintings. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance, but the artist shows the true meaning of his work. A classical Chinese landscape does not reproduce an actual view as a Western figurative painting would do. The European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at the painting through him. But the Chinese painting is not so. You can enter it from any point. Next is the horizontal scroll. There is even more true in the case of horizontal scroll. It adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, which is both physical and mental. The Chinese painter wants you to enter to his mind, and the landscape is spiritual and conceptual. Next point is very important. Point number 6. Shen Shui, masculine and feminine aspect. Here, the concept of Shen Shui is expressed meaning mountain water, which represents landscape. These two images, mountain and water, represents two complementary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang and the water is yin. Mountain reaches vertically towards the heaven and is stable, warm and dry in the sun, but the yin is horizontal in resting on the earth and fluid, moist and cool. The interaction of yin, feminine aspect of universal energy, and yang, the masculine aspect, is a fundamental notion of Taoism. It is very important point. And the third essential element, the middle void, is overlooked where the interaction takes place. Next point is man's role. What is the role? Sorry, the last point is left. Yin, yang and pranayama. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayama. It is breathe in and breathe out. The suspension of breath is a void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. Next point is man's role. There lies man's fundamental role. In between heaven and earth, he becomes the mean of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential. He is the eye of the landscape. So his role is very much important. Next point is outsider art. Here it is ninth point. French painter Jean Dubuffet originated the concept of outsider art. It means the outsider art is originated by a French painter. It is described as outsider art because it is produced by people who had no formal training in art, but they show their talent and artistic insight. Next point is Nek Chand's contribution. Around the 1940s in India, an untutored genius was creating paradise. He made himself a garden sculpted with stone and recycled with waste material. Now it is called the Rock Garden at Chandigarh of Nek Chand. Many of you may have visited there. 80 years old creator director is India's biggest contribution to outsider art. The last point is Nek Chand honored. He was honored because the notion of art glut or raw art is a work which are in their raw state without any cultural artistic training or influences. Anything from a tin to a broken cup or a broken bangle could be a material for work of art, as you could have seen in Rock Garden. The Swiss Commission for UNESCO will honor Nek Chand through an exposition of his work. The 5 months interactive show titled Realm of Nek Chand, which began in October, was held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France, and Italy. And he was honored because of his outside art. So, this is all about your summary of the chapter. I hope you all have understood it. In the next video, we will discuss the question answers of the same chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.